There are many of you who turn your intuition way down, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed or a little bit suffocated by what's happening in the world. But this is the time that you need to turn your intuition and your senses way up. Your intuition is all around you at all times, and sometimes you are choosing to not hear it. And if you can't hear what your higher self has to say, then the human aspect of you is leading the charge. And I don't know about you, but if you look around at people who are being fully human, that might not be what you want to do. Welcome to the Energetic Leadership Forecast for the week ahead. And for most of you, this is probably already started. This message is primarily for two types of leaders. The first one is you've got quite a big idea and you're just not acting upon it. This is the game-changing idea, but it feels scary. And so instead of expanding, you're sticking with the status quo, and this feels like a slow, suffocating death. And it's also for the other type of leader where you've already taken the leap, but things are not working out for you because you're still running on your old operating system. And that can't come with you to get to where you want to go because what got you here isn't going to take you there. Let's get going with message number one. When you're paying attention to your intuition, there are signs all around you. There are breadcrumbs that you can be following that are going to lead you onto your highest timeline. But for some of you, when the going gets tough, you shrink. Instead of choosing to expand, you shrink back into yourself and you start to hibernate. And from this space, you can't possibly see the breadcrumbs because they are hidden from you. And because you have now cut yourself off from your intuition, that feels even more overwhelming, and you go on to make poorer and poorer choices. The antidote to this is as soon as you notice the feelings of fear, overwhelm, scarcity, lack, this is the time to go inward and to choose again. Sometimes when people are very overwhelmed and they're trying to hide it because you are in a position of leadership, and sometimes it's not deemed appropriate for you to wear your heart on your sleeve. That makes it worse, by the way, because if you were to express yourself more clearly, you would very quickly return to your intuition and have all of the opportunities available for you. They never went away. You just can't see them when you're in a state of fear and lack and scarcity. But if you can't do that, your job is to go inward, to recognize how you feel. Say you feel disappointed, or you feel like you're in a state of overwhelmment. Allow those feelings to be there. Say hello to those feelings, because if you push them away, and many of you do push these feelings away because you're busy, they come back again, but double. So you get to choose when you address them, but it's a good idea to address them earlier on before they become a whole thing. So say hello to that fear and that anxiety and ask it, what message do you have for me? What is it that you're showing me? To actually say out loud, maybe in private, all of the thoughts that are running through your head. Actually give those quote unquote negative thoughts some airtime. And it might look like this. When will I get my next customer? What if I don't make payroll? I'm really scared about not making payroll. What if my top people quit? What if I can't afford to keep them? What if I go bankrupt? There are a whole bunch of thoughts running wild in your brain, and they're keeping you in this state of being overwhelmed, of being fearful, of being in anxiety. And it's time to let them out so you can see potentially how ridiculous some of those thoughts are. Some of them will be a little close to the truth, but you're probably not going to go bankrupt today, for instance. Those thoughts desperately want to be heard, and you keep swatting them away, but they don't go away because you're not giving them the airtime. So notice how you feel. Allow yourself to experience the thoughts that you're having so that you can self-soothe and then choose again. And when you've done that, you can choose a new state of being. So say, for example, you're having feelings of disappointment, then maybe you might want to aim for feeling content. This is okay. Today is going okay. I bet tomorrow is going to be better. Doing this is one of the fastest ways to reconnect with your intuition. And when you reconnect with your intuition, When you're operating from this state, from this vibration, all of the opportunities that are a match for this state and this vibration once again become available to you. But if you shut yourself off from those opportunities by vibrating in a lower frequency, in a state of despair or disappointment instead of contentment or optimism, you do not have access to those opportunities, which will be the game changer for your business. Message number 2. Let's be real. When people say to us, be in a state of gratitude and be in a state of appreciation, most of us think that sucks and it's boring. But we know we should do it because we know it increases our vibration and our frequency. And if we're operating from up here instead of down here, we have access to far more opportunities that are on our highest timeline. And so what do? We start a gratitude journal again for the 20th time, and it lasts about till day 5. And then we give up on the gratitude journal because we're not seeing stuff actually change in our reality. So we think it doesn't work. This message is really about what's going on with gratitude and appreciation and how it actually fits in the big scheme of things. So in terms of having abundance, and whatever abundance looks like to you, it could be financial abundance. It could be about the amount of impact you're having. It might be how generous you get to be because you're so abundant. It could be the roof over your head. That is a form of abundance. It could be the car you're driving. That's a form of abundance. It could be someone buying you a coffee or you buying someone else a coffee. All of these things are forms of abundance. In order to receive those opportunities we've been talking about, you have to have an awareness that those opportunities actually exist. And that is where appreciation comes in. If you look around the room that you're currently in and you list 10 things that you're appreciative for, chances are 7 or 8 of those things you've actually not even realized have been there. You've actually paid no conscious attention to those things in the past week. And so if you're not conscious of all of the opportunities and forms of abundance that are already around you, you actually cannot receive the abundance from those things. If you don't see them consciously, they may as well not exist. And so we have receiving. However, in order to receive, we have to be consciously aware of the thing we're receiving. Once we have received the thing, we now have the thing. And because we have the thing, we can now appreciate the thing. Consciously appreciating that particular thing is a form of receiving abundance. For example, I have a piece of original artwork in my room. And some days I walk past that and I don't even acknowledge that it's there. And if I don't acknowledge that it's there, then I cannot receive the abundance that it wants to give to me on a daily basis. However, if I wake up in the morning and that is the first thing I see, and I look at this piece of artwork and I say, I love the blues in that piece of artwork. It's incredible. Look at that detail in that artwork. I am aware of the artwork and I'm receiving that abundance that artwork is able to give me. I also have the artwork. If you don't realize that you have something hanging on your wall, do you even have it? Does it even exist? If you don't know that it exists, it doesn't exist. And this is why the act of appreciation or gratitude is so important. Because if you can't see that something exists, you cannot receive it. And if you want things like financial abundance, more profitability, more income, more customers, more clients, you want to turn on your ability to receive. And here's another tangible example of this for you to really lock it in. I had a client say to me, oh, well, I can't always get what I want, I suppose. What he means by that is sometimes I can receive and sometimes I cannot. Sometimes I'm choosing to be a receiver and sometimes I'm choosing to be a blocker of receiving. So if it feels like it's been a while since you've received something that you really desire, you want to also look at your beliefs and your blocks, the blocks you have to actually receiving, because you literally get what you're asking for. In this case, if you hold the block of, I guess I can't always get what I want, that is exactly what will play out in your reality. Sometimes you will get what you want, and sometimes you won't, because sometimes you're able to receive what you want and be up here to get the opportunities you want, and sometimes you will block your ability to receive because of your beliefs. And message 3, I like to go surfing. I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at it. I class myself as an advanced beginner. I can catch some waves, I can read the waves, I can turn, but big giant waves I do find quite scary. And I learned about my fear for big giant waves when I was in Costa Rica earlier this year. As I was going over these waves to not catch them, I was thinking to myself, if I catch this wave and it goes wrong, I am going to be pummeled. This is going to really hurt. And so, because the waves were oddly big, I sat to the edge of the waves and let the good people catch the giant waves. And when there was a spare wave, I would catch the outside of it where it was a little bit smaller, a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle. And I had a lot of fun doing that. Now, alternatively, I have also seen people at a very similar level, a very similar surfing level, who decide that it is their mission to catch those big waves, even though they may not have the capability to do so. And so what happens is sometimes they will get a little bit lucky and catch a wave and it will be epic. And 90% of the time, their board is being thrown up in the air and they're somersaulting through the ocean and it looks quite painful. The commonality between these two types of surfers, though, is we both end up at exactly the same level of progression. We are just choosing different timelines, so to speak, on how to get there. We're both choosing different roads. And so it's important that you realize there is always another choice. If you're the type of person who wants the experience of being thrashed about and almost killed, you can choose to position yourself in a way where that is relevant for you. If you're someone who maybe likes to take it a bit more easy, who likes to be in more flow, who likes to have fun and experience ease, there's a way for you to position yourself as well. And so if you're over here being thrashed about and you look at the person over there who is in flow with a big smile on their face, breezing through life, you can use that as contrast. You can either use that to double down, be like, well, I don't want that. That looks like it's too much fun. I much rather stay here where it's hard work and struggle. Or you can use that as inspiration. I like that over there. And this person, she is on the same journey as that I am on. She keeps on improving day after day and she looks like she's having more fun than me. So maybe I'm going to go over there too. And alternatively, if you're over here and you're in flow and it's easy, there might be some moments where you say, you know what? This is too easy. I'm having too much fun. Maybe it would be fun to come over here for a day and be thrashed about and do things that don't feel good, simply because I might want the experience of that. And so you cannot get this wrong. Even if you do that, well, then you have that day of being thrashed about and you realize how good you had it and you swim back over there, back onto your highest timeline. You have the ability to choose and choose again. Just know that it's far easier if you are a conscious chooser, if you're actually aware of what's happening all around you. And if you want to be a conscious chooser who is on your highest timeline, that is exactly what I do with people. You can go ahead and book in a call with me if you want to see what that looks like going forward. And for right now, happy conscious choosing.